AJ, the brother from the ancient mother. This is the headspace, and another one of those exciting Phula-Phula, breaking it down for you to listen. Today I'm doing a verse from an artist that many would questionably say is not hip-hop. But this is not the installment for that conversation, motherfucker. This is an installment where I bask in the greatness of the lyricism of Zola, aka Zola 7, aka Bongos Lamin, aka the Ghetto Hero, aka Thug Jesus, Kasi Jesus, Ghetto Scandalous, a sequel to Ghetto Fabulous. Now, I've always found the two titles very interesting, like on a conceptual level, how the ghetto is both a fable and a scandal. The ghetto is both a lie and something that presents itself to shock our senses, to always vacar us up into the state of disorientation, to put us in a constant reality of misplacement. Anyways, enough about that shit. Zola gets us into this mode of thinking. He talks about Ghetto Scandalous kind of like as an anchoring theme to the rough and ruggedness of what it's like to live a Lokshin, and how we all emerge with thorns on our bodies, and we learn to embrace this and turn the thorns into a delicate art play of our behavior. Ghetto Scandalous is really just a posse cut joint in the days where we could probably say there was a semblance of peace inside the ghetto rough corridors, because maybe artists didn't realize they were being ripped off. Yeah. And also they just had great artistic chemistry. Produced by one of my favorite producers in this country. Where is this guy? Somebody in the comment section tell me whatever happened to KP, please. And Ammunition makes an incredible cameo appearance here, kicking the door as classic Josie MC aesthetic refined by the Lee Club era, and coming in and giving us that township frequency. Anyways, Zola's first joint verse, he gets in. He says,
and even if I got my own CD, I'm the same old G, Clevang is spy.
Well, to translate Clevang is spy, for those who might not understand the reference, I'm the same OG, and I'm not buying into any of that bullshit that you are now selling me. I'm not falling for this new dialogue of you embracing me with love, when before you really didn't care much for me, right?
It's all loco, you thought I was ugly, now you see me on TV, you tell about the good thing sexy. If in West, to plomanam, kuzanam, skimemina, when it's all nami.
Now, this might just sound like a miserable man who now has money and is giving all his haters the middle finger. But there's something a little bit more poignant in this. It's a fact that there are people who walk with us for what we have, and there are people who walk with us for who we are. And it's important to be able to distinguish the difference, because the moment we come into places of success, the moment we fall into pockets of consistency, it's going to be really important to be able to tell your genuine true friends from the people who are there for opportunistic reasons. And I mean, from a base place, everybody's an opportunist, but there's love in the matter. And what is love? I'm going to demystify it. Love is people who resonate with the core of who you are, regardless of what you have or don't have in a financial or spiritual or psychological capacity. People who are able to bask into your presence just for being the person that you manifest yourself as, and not for the things that you could do for them. So really, beyond the rapidy rap, giving it to my haters, it's a manifesto on know your real friends. I'm sure right now he would spit on the ground for saying that verse, because as we now know, he had problems with Lanster, financial issues about royalties, which created this long-going beef / saga of Zola versus Lance, which, if you don't know the story, I don't know where you've been, but anyways, this verse is personal in that sense. It locates us in a place where Zola rapped Ghetto Rap. Zola rapped a label that he felt expressed who he was and what he was about. This label helped usher in his fame. It gave him and helped navigate the deals with brands like Cell C. His show, which turned him into Kasi Jesus, as I said earlier on. And I think it's really interesting to listen to the song years later and to ask yourself, how much has the man evolved? I like how verses date themselves. And I think a lot of rappers don't think about this, Takeza, when they rap. You know, I find it hilarious when rappers name years. Like, I wrote this verse in 92. And I'm like, okay, you did. And then later on, you find that them mentioning the year kind of kills a lot of the efficacy of it. Because I think there are moments that can be located in time without you literally referencing it. So perhaps all this shouting out of labels and dating of years and actual signaling of a specific time in your lyrics is also, in a way, doesn't allow the verse to grow beyond the time it was written in. And maybe that's cool. Maybe you don't want your verses to age and evolve with time and become so timeless that they could literally be rapped today. Because there's no way Zola is saying ghetto rap. Interesting thing to think about.
I'm fresh from the Kasi. Last time you saw me, been shy Ghetto Fabulous, and things have gone west now. Shy Ghetto Scandalous. And from the 80s, push our malum sabala, so bad the lab. Squeeze shy boom, 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 boom.
What is he saying there? Zola's affiliation with rap and hip hop has always been questioned by the uber purists, the heads who believe that hip hop is only hip hop if it manifests itself in a way that is classically identifiable from the American archetypes that it has brought forward. And I think artists like Zola are here to fracture that conversation and ask us very important questions. The puche that echoes from the diaspora. What relation does it have with our own rhythm? Nesing setu, sobupansula, that Maskandi flair. Maskandi artists who open up their songs with the flashing strings of guitar and the long cultural introduction. Isn't that a form of MCing? Is Zolani Mkiva, you know, waving around his stuff and talking about Madiba and all of his greatness? Isn't that a form of MCing? So I feel like this particular line of the puche is, yeah, quite flat mockery, but it's also an introduction into the fact is, how do we navigate our love for hip-hop while being South African? Zola's saying he comes from this experience, and there seems to be people who were navigating around being inspired by America when he was probably doing the same thing, but orientated with who he was. I'm gonna tell you why he says that. We heard this American style on the radio. We started imitating. We started becoming that American flair. We started going, Yoro my nigga. Now, is Zola here criticizing lovers of hip hop and rap? Is he saying, yo, I don't fuck with niggas like you who call me nigga? I don't think he's saying that. I think he's saying it's important that in all of your inspiration, you find yourself, because there is something before what we heard on the radio. There is something before the word nigga. There is something before we were called black. There is something before this continent was called Africa. Izololoku, there was a whole history. Izololoku, there was an entire ancestral lineage. It's more of a question of, do you know yourself historically as you identify with any cultural style or affiliation? I think this is a really great question for these young rappers nowadays. Izololoku, do you know who you are?
Bamba the stream, my lover. Nini ngathanda nhlonipho manje. Love uzongihlanyisa. Mfele wazi uzoluphileli kwaito. Bengifuna wazi nje ukuthi rhyme umlando.
Kwaito and hip hop. He lives for Kwaito, and yet he says he can rap anytime he wants to. And I feel like that's an important floss. It's an important flex, as many would say, because his affiliation clearly lies with the movement which expressed his culture. But in the same coding is rap. There's rap in Kwaito. So as a result, irhyme ngumlahlo for many MCs who don't necessarily identify themselves as hip-hop heads but can rap. Very, very political conversation. Can you have rap apart from hip-hop? Can you have hip-hop apart from rap? Are Kwaito artists rappers? This is Kasi Jesus giving us his last parting words from the Gospel of Zola. He says,
God for us all, Kulova for himself,
I think what this means is that on a greater level, we are all interconnected. But individually, we've got to understand our own unique path. On a greater level, the world is yours, but you've got to understand your place in the world. On a greater level, amandla ngawethu. But on an individual level, you've got to understand how the strength comes from abantu that you are around, because at the end of the day, umntu ngabantu. So I think Kasi Jesus right here is giving us the gospel of being together with ourselves while we navigate the world. The ghetto is a scandalous place. Zola's a prophetic MC. Rap, Kwaito, I don't give a shit. It's all hip-hop expression. Ooh, heads are gonna kill me for that. Phula-Phula, VJ, the brother from the ancient mother. Spit another verse.